For today's adventure, there's only one way to get there.
Now when the lights turn up, I'm focused. Overdose, slow poke up, don't choke this. It's a psychosis. I'll never know why some needs are warm. I can't explain the rainbow in the storm.
Today we're back in Dolphin Island, but we're not in the same place we were the other day. To get to where we're going today, we had to take the ferry. That's our car. A ride over to the island as well. We had to get on the ferry to get over here. It's the only way we could get to this location. Today we're going to be checking out Fort Morgan.
This island has a very long history of death.
This is Massacre Island.
Bones and parts of human skeletons all over.
This whole island is
that
cursed.
Curse is so real.
This area here is known as Bowers Battery. This was built as a defense post here as part of Fort Morgan. They have it fenced off. They don't want anybody to get in there. There were large guns mounted up here in these platforms that could fire out at incoming ships out at sea. I wish that they didn't have this fence here blocking you from getting in. I wish I could get in there and get a closer look and check it out better. Fort Morgan was built and used originally for the War of 1812, but after the War of 1812, it survived and was a U.S. military base all the way up until World War II. Right here they have this wooden wall structure built up. This area provided another line of defense. They had cannon stations. These are not fake either. These are the real deal. This area is known as the Battery Bailey, position of the 2nd Connecticut Light Artillery Unit. The area of Fort Morgan itself covers some massive real estate. And over the years, between the War of 1812 and World War II, it just kept growing and growing and growing. The battery station where we were just at was built for the War of 1812. This area here looks like at one time it was a guard outpost that has now crumbled. Before we enter the main base, we first come here to the battery shank. This area was built and completed in June of 1900. The battery sat without guns for 3 years before finally receiving its armament of 2 model 1898 15-pound rapid-fire guns in 1903. The guns that were positioned here were capable of firing 10 rounds per minute. They converted this section into a lookout viewing station. There's a huge chunk of metal right down there on the beach. I wonder if that came from here somewhere. Here's a good shot of the inner lining of Fort Morgan. The only way to get into Fort Morgan is by this tunnel with this cobblestone brick road. Look at that. The roof there. It is cooler in here. A little bit. Then when you come through this entrance tunnel, you arrive at Fort Morgan. This is 1833 up there, even though it was built and used in the War of 1812. Now we've entered into the base. These two circles you see here in the middle, these were the water cisterns. And it has all these individual tunnels. Directly in the center here is the battery Do Portail. I think we'll check that out first. It still has an original wooden door. This is the bottom layer of the battery. Here's a small passageway back here. It leads you back into this area. This is all going to be ammo storage. Look at all the handprints on the wall here. Man, that's freaky. If you look on the wall here behind me, these are handprints. And it said that these handprints are the handprints of all the soldiers who've died here at Fort Morgan. Look at how many of them there are. Wow. Right out front of the door here, they had at one time this table right here turned so that they could push shells and ammunition whichever direction they needed it to go, into the battery or down this way. This would have been one of those hidden cannon areas like we saw at Fort Gaines. Here's a placard depicting the battery Do Portail, and you can see how large the gun was. This was the most powerful battery on the post. When its armament was mounted in 1902, the battery's two 12-inch breech-loading rifled guns could fire a 1,046-pound shell 8.5 miles. The guns were mounted on disappearing carriages that lowered the guns behind the protective concrete wall for reloading. The battery was deactivated in 1923, and the guns were scrapped in 1942 during World War II. So the gun could lower down behind the wall there. They could reload it, raise it back up, and fire again. It could shoot 8.5 miles. During World War II, that gun was removed and scrapped. Firing battery Do Portail's two 12-inch guns. Here's ammo storage for the 12-inch battery Do Portail gun. Those shells weigh over 1,000 pounds each. They have a few areas blocked off that you can't get up to, like this one. I don't know why, but here is an entrance to enter into the fort. It still has its original steel and wood doors. Apparently, they don't want you to enter into this area. It's the back side of the fort. What's interesting is I wonder why they originally bricked this arch off. It would have originally been an arch like this, but they bricked it off for some reason. Now there's a hole protruding through it. But at one point in time, it was just a regular arch. It looks like they had bricked this off too at some point. This is the floors of the building. These were all, they had cannons positioned at these locations, rotating cannons. The barrel would stick out here and it could rotate to either side depending on where your enemies were. This fort has been here for so long, it has started growing stalagmites and stalactites. Here's another area that's bricked off. I wonder why. I wonder what's on the other side of it. I wonder if there's treasure over there, maybe some dead bodies. I don't know why they would brick it off. This is the back side of the fort. Now we've re-entered. Here's another archway bricked off here. And now we've come out on the back side of the fort. I've seen this tower before. This tower would have obviously been placed here during World War II to hold things like radar and stuff like that, spotlights. I'm curious to know what this building is here. It's made out of brick. It has steel. I don't know if it held shells or if it was some type of furnace or what. I have no idea what this is. Here's more gun stations. There's a big one here. It's falling in from where they cemented it up. The metal structure that held whatever gun was here is still down there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's still there. They just concreted it in to keep people safe. But from this location, this defended this side of the property. We were gonna try to climb this tower, but obviously they don't want people up there. That tower would have been placed there during World War II. Sure, it's probably not safe anymore. But we were still gonna climb it, but they've got it fenced off. You can see the difference between World War II and before. The brick was placed before, and everything that was added on during World War II is just solid concrete. This area here would have been for religious services. And over this way, it's just all catacombs all the way down. This was the soldier quarters. This is where all the soldiers slept at. It's interesting to note that the original bedding that was in there was just straw, lamps, and oil. And then over the years, bunks were built. Mattresses were brought in during World War II. But it started off with straw that the soldiers had to lay on. Laundress quarters. This is where they did the laundry. Confederate soldiers would hire women to come in and do the laundry for the soldiers and all around care for the men. Here's some kind of boarded up area over here to this side. It looks like soldier barracks again or something. Oh no, it's a cannon room. Those are actual cannons that were left here on the property. Wow, that's awesome. Look at the architecture of that brick passageway over there. How it rotates down like that. That's cool. We are gonna head out of the main fort and try to get some aerial shots. You may notice we're back on the ferry, headed back over to Dolphin Island. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video now. I wanna thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you all again tomorrow. I hope you have a great day.